Just Gone, Missing Persons Cases, is a podcast that may contain graphic descriptions of violent acts, including those of a sexual nature and bad language. If you feel you may be adversely affected by such content, please do not listen. Listener discretion is advised. Not intended for children.
I want to begin this episode by saying this. Nobody on earth deserves to go missing. There's no family anywhere who deserve having a loved one featured on a missing poster. There is no addiction, lifestyle, nor occupation that qualifies anyone to deserve being a missing person. We're all human and bleed the same red blood when we're cut. We have all made dubious decisions and myriad mistakes. We all have histories, backstories that contain a portion of good and a ration of shit. Nobody's perfect. We've all got issues. And to those with more issues than ourselves, let's be empathetic, kind, and understanding. Shade doesn't make the missing reappear. Just Gone, Missing Persons Cases, a murder scene podcast. Episode 1, Girls Just Gone in Oregon. The Vanishings of Stormy Cavilee, Kim Roache, and Rene Salazar. Once a person goes missing, the lives of family and friends become altered. They're never the same again. That dark cloud of mystery follows them around permanently. Pain fills the void they left behind. That pain is felt fiercely forever. And the wondering about what happened. Did they leave because they didn't love you? Did they leave because they were scared of something? Someone? Where did they go? Did they suffer? Did they cry out for you to save them when you weren't there? When someone in your life goes missing, the hands of time stop. And there's nothing you can do because they're just gone. Case number 1. A Stormy Life. The Vanishing of Norma Jane Stormy Cavilee. She wasn't called Stormy for nothing. Her life had been a train wreck of addiction, crimes and misdemeanors, substance abuse, and even did a 10-year stretch in prison for a DUI manslaughter. But Stormy loved ferociously and was loved back. Is loved back. Love doesn't just disappear with the person. Love doesn't just go missing when they do. It lingers. It grows stronger. It runs deeper. Stormy vanished without a trace on September the 3rd, 2015, en route to Josephine County, Oregon from the capital city, Salem. But it's unclear exactly where she disappeared from, or if she even really left Salem at all. Nobody knows. She was supposed to catch the bus to travel southward to the Grants Pass area, but no ticket in her name has ever been confirmed. It has been reported that she was carrying a backpack and a large black duffel bag. They were large enough that they would have needed to be checked and stored in the trunk for her to board the bus. There were rumors that Stormy was seen in Wolf Creek, a place where people go missing on the regular. It's pretty much a no-go area, or at least a don't-want-to-go area. She was moving down to Joko, Cave Junction to be precise, the other local area where people turn to dust and blow away in the wind. Due to Stormy's history of prison and drug abuse, and having recently violated the conditions of her parole, authorities assumed she had absconded, not wanting to stick around for her next brush with the law that would almost certainly land her back in jail again. The police were not in the slightest bit interested in looking for her. She wasn't even officially entered into the NamUs database until the next year, 6 months after she disappeared. As I said, Stormy was headed to the Cave Junction area to begin a new chapter in her life. She was excited to be at the beginning of a brand new adventure. There were possibilities. Things were looking up. Stormy, and what she thought was her boyfriend, were supposed to be moving in together. I wonder what his wife thought about that. But the new boo had a troubling, disturbing past. He was an ex-con with a dark history that was peppered with murder, missing persons and drug trafficking that followed him around like a ubiquitous ghost that will not go away, like a murderous Ebenezer Scrooge. He is also suspected of involvement in the disappearances of 2 other people in the late 1980s. Dennis Woods went missing from his Long Beach apartment in 1988. He was 45 years old when he vanished without a trace, never to be seen nor heard from again. Stormy's boyfriend was his neighbour, for a while, before he disappeared. Shortly after Dennis went missing, he helped himself to Dennis's belongings, removing them from his apartment. He also stole Dennis's car. The story he told was that he purchased the car from Dennis shortly before he disappeared, but could not produce a bill of sale or any other paperwork relating to the vehicle. It was still registered to Dennis, and he had just renewed the tags on it. He was convicted and jailed for stealing Dennis's car. The murder he was convicted of was a 45-year-old woman called Estella Vaughn from Long Beach, California. Estella and Stormy's new boyfriend were traveling from California to Oregon with 4 keys of Colombian cartel coke, which they were picking up $60,000 for. His story was that she fucked off with the money, and he never saw her again. Truth was, he double-tapped her in the back of the head, execution style. When he was dumping her body in the deep woods near Days Creek, he decided to hack both her hands off with an axe to slow down the identification process should her remains ever be found. Nice guy. What a catch. A few months later, in 1989, in Seal Beach, California, Melinda McCollum, his own girlfriend, also vanished and has never been found. Poof. Just gone. Some time later, he told police that he did not murder Melinda, and that she died of a drug overdose, and that he'd disposed of her body in a dumpster, but no trace of her has ever been found. Stormy's so-called boyfriend has been out of prison now for 10 years or so, and has reinvented himself as a thug-life Mother Teresa, caring for the sick in prison hospice and guiding lost souls back to the light from their dark lives of crime and addiction. He's the president of a non-profit organization that aids those in need of a helping hand to get back into society following a period of incarceration. He also runs a construction company that employs those ex-cons. He's also a prisoner advocate and has attempted to secure the release of a notorious murderer who lived in the local Cave Junction area. That man was convicted of murdering his own 19-year-old girlfriend, Laura Britton, who was less than half his age. He shot her dead, cut her head off, bisected her at the waist, Black Dahlia style, then burned her remains. But that's not all. A family in Texas where he used to live believed that he may have been involved in the death of a family member. He claimed she died of a drug overdose. Oh, déjà fucking vu. Rosalind Leyva was a beautiful 25-year-old with everything to live for and a piss-poor taste in men. She was his very young girlfriend. People say that she and Laura were almost identical. Somebody always knows something. Somebody was the last person to see Rosalind. Somebody was the last person to see Dennis and Melinda. And somebody was the last person to see or talk to Stormy Cavilee. Somebody out there knows exactly what happened to her and where she is now. She may have had a rough life, but nobody who knows her believes that she left her family, her kids, her friends, her BFF Angela, and just fucked off out of their lives. No one. Like so many other missing persons cases in southern Oregon, the trail leads to or from Wolf Creek, Sunny Valley, and Cave Junction, Bermuda Triangle of missing persons. They are places of wild, unruly beauty, where you will find salt-of-the-earth people who will open their doors and their hearts to complete strangers. But where there is light, darkness always follows. There are dubious characters, evil intentions, sinister enterprise. They're a haven of crime, both petty and organised, where illegal businesses pity out legal ones to wash their dirty money clean. These are just a few of the places in southern Oregon where women go to disappear, whether they intended to or not. If you have any information on the disappearance or current location of Stormy Cavilee, please contact the lead detective on the case, Jake Burke of Salem PD, on 503-588-6123, case number 150-51477. Stormy is described as 5 foot to 5 foot 1 inch tall, blue eyes, black hair with grey roots if not coloured regularly, 2 raven tattoos on her chest, 1 coloured, 1 outlined, pierced nipples, a long scar on her left leg from an old injury, and she always wore a large gold-toned Thor's hammer pendant. Stormy was 43 years old when she disappeared in 2015. Stormy's NamUs case number is MP32917. Case number 2. Millennium Misper Mystery. The Vanishing of Kim Marie Roache. Kim Marie Roache vanished without a trace on June 7th, 2000, just 6 months into the new millennium. There was next to no information released regarding her disappearance, just 1 paragraph of scant details, and it was like everybody but her family forgot about her and moved on. The missing poster for Kim said she left her house on the 400 block of Shan Creek Road at 2 a.m. on the 7th of June, and her car, a 1978 Plymouth Volare, was found abandoned down an embankment on Onion Mountain Road. And that was it. I think I found 1 minuscule newspaper story in an archive, and all it had on it was the same details. There doesn't appear to have been any publicly released update on Kim's case whatsoever in the interim years. But the police report opens up a world of possibilities of what happened to her. While researching Kim's disappearance, we took a field trip to Greece hoping to find her crash site all these years later. We think we did. It's there by milepost 20 marker, with Secret Creek right below. This is rugged country. Some sections of this road have embankments steeper than a cow's face, straight up and down, sheer drops that go on forever. We found a bend that in the dark could be mistaken for a continuation of the road. We figured Kim may have just flown off that corner and into a tree, or maybe even misjudged the corner, swerved, then overcorrected, and went over the edge. We actually found a tree that could have been the very one Kim's car hit. The tree had been dead a long time after something sheared it in half, leaving fronds of wood sticking straight up out of the middle, and the bark crumbled in your fingers. To be honest, I'm shocked she made it that far down the road. Where her car was found abandoned was not the worst stretch of road by any means, but between the Shan Creek house and her crash site is some scary driving, and we were driving it in summer during the daytime. And to be totally honest, I was still shiting a brick. The precise location her car was found was actually at milepost 20 on FS25, a remote Forest Service road in the Greece area of Josephine County, which is mentioned in the report also. It says that her car was found down an embankment, and there were items belonging to her scattered around the car and down the hill, things like clothing, a bag, and other small personal items. Kim's boyfriend at the time liked to call himself Jake, a name not even close to his given name nor his middle name, which is probably why he used it. Jake and Kim spent the weekend of June 3rd and 4th together, and Kim headed back home to Grants Pass early Monday morning, June 5th, taking their jointly owned car with her. Jake admitted he had lied to the police during one of their early contacts with him regarding Kim's disappearance. He told them he and Kim were not together that weekend, since that meeting was in violation of a restraining order she had taken out against him. She had requested that the court remove it, but at the time, it was legally still in place. The order was removed the day she went missing. Before she left, she told Jake she was going to town to buy him a birthday cake and a present. He told her he needed the car back by Wednesday. She never arrived. Cliff, Kim's father, told police that it wasn't unusual for his daughter to leave for a few days at a time, but he also said it wasn't like her to be gone for 4 days and not check in with him. He said that Kim had both a drug and alcohol problem, and that he didn't believe she needed the pain medications she was taking. At this time, Kim's 16-year-old nephew, Sean, was up from California visiting his grandparents. He told police that he and his Aunt Kim had watched 5 movies on satellite TV on the 6th, and they both went to the store on Riverbanks Road between 8 and 8:30 p.m. Kim bought 4 boxes of something called Mini Thins. I wasn't familiar with these pills and had to look them up. They're caffeine tablets mixed with a proprietary blend of stimulant herbs and supplements. Each one of these pills has a caffeine equivalent of around 3 cups of coffee. Sean told the police he had attempted to go to bed at around midnight on the 6th, but his Aunt Kim kept him up until she left the house at 2 a.m. after making a phone call. But in a different interview, he told the police that she received a phone call at midnight and that she was supposed to meet Jake and a young man who was in some sort of trouble, but it doesn't say when she left the house. She didn't identify who this other young man was. Sean said Kim was behaving strangely, that she was, quote, really hyper, and she was, quote, going around in circles doing different weird things. She kept returning to her bedroom, searching for something. He told police that she was extremely disoriented. Mark, Jake's roomie, told police that Kim called him at the home he shares with Jake at 2 a.m. on June 7th. He said she told him she wrecked the car and it was towed to the fairgrounds and she was going to get a ride back to town. Okay, cool. We've got that so far. Another witness in the files, Audrey, a woman from a local Grants Pass car lot that Jake purchased vehicles from, served as a go-between for Jake and Kim, passing on messages to Kim by phone because Jake was not welcome to call the family home. He was banned from calling by Kim's father, presumably because of his conviction for the rape of a 14-year-old girl just a few years previously. Audrey told police that Jake's story was that Kim called his house at 2 a.m. on June 7th, and that she had crashed the Volare and it was stuck somewhere. He said she would get it towed and get a ride back to town. Jake told Audrey that he'd looked for the car at the fairgrounds and surrounding area, but he could not find it. There's a problem with these stories, though. What Jake told Audrey is not what Mark said Kim told him. Can you see what my head's about to explode right now? What Kim supposedly told Mark, and what Mark reported to the police, was not the same as what was relayed to Audrey via Jake. Did you catch that? Took me a few times to even make sense of that sentence, and I wrote it. Now, the difference here is past and future tense. Mark's story is past tense. The event has already happened. The car has been towed. Jake's story is future tense. The event has not yet happened. The car has yet to be towed. But there's even worse than that. It has been established through Jake's employer at the time that he was at work, driving a load to Roseburg. And according to his own log, he got home at 4 a.m. on June 7th. In another statement, he said he didn't get back to O'Brien, where he lived, until 6:15 a.m. on the 7th. Jake also told the police that he made a collect call to Kim's dad's house from the road between 8:30 and 9 p.m. on June 6th to discuss his idea for a t-shirt business, even although he was banned from calling the house and always used a third party to relay messages. Yeah. So, to recap, Kim left the house allegedly to meet Jake and some other dude who was in trouble at 2 a.m. on June the 7th in a car that had, perhaps, already been crashed and towed that night. Or not? Or what the fuck? Why would she say she'd crashed the car and had it towed already before she'd even left the house? This story is probably just a victim of Chinese whispers, where the information becomes increasingly reductive the more lips it passes through. But there's no references in the police report regarding any of the inconsistencies in some of the witness statements. Seriously, I've never ever been so bloody confused in my entire life. Anywho, let's move on before my brain is irreparably damaged. My head hurts. Another witness who was interviewed by the police was Buddy, the caretaker of the bar mine in Briggs Valley. Buddy said Jake was very upset about Kim being missing and told him that she was his girlfriend. But the story Jake told Buddy was even more different than the previous ones. Buddy told the police that Jake said he and Kim had an argument and that she was supposed to meet up with him. He told her to take the back roads, head toward Illinois Valley, and he would meet her en route. Okay, well, when exactly was this backroads rendezvous supposed to have taken place? Jake was at work that night. Supposedly he didn't even know about what had transpired until he woke up in the afternoon of that day, and Mark relayed his phone conversation with Kim to him. There's no indication that Buddy the caretaker knew any of the three men, or had ever met Kim, prior to them turning up at the mine. There's no indication of why anybody thinks Kim would have headed to Briggs Valley or the bar mine, unless Jake told her to meet him there. I'd be surprised if she even knew where the bar mine is. The conversation between the three men and Buddy took place around June 11th. He wasn't certain of the exact date, but this would be 4 days or so after Kim disappeared. Buddy kept mentioning Secret Creek to the officer who interviewed him, in reference to where Kim may have been headed, but he claimed nobody had mentioned Secret Creek to him. He just assumed that that was the location that they were supposed to meet up at. That's the exact place Kim's car was found. Secret Creek is immediately below her crash site. Why would somebody who didn't know Kim or the three men who came to see him just assume Secret Creek was where their rendezvous point was? This whole case is strange and unusual. I'm 100% certain that somebody is lying. No shit, Sherlock, I hear you say. But there's yet another weird twist in this story. 3 years after Kim's disappearance, in June 2003, a Jackson County Sheriff's Office contract deputy assigned to the Bureau of Land Management happened across an abandoned car in the vicinity of Grouse Creek Road, near Roache in the Applegate Valley. It was a white 1983 Toyota Celica, 2-door, registered to a shady-as-fuck character from out of state. He was known across 8 states under several aliases and had criminal charges for things like arson, theft, assault, and fraud. And in 2004, he added rape to his criminal repertoire. He pled guilty to a charge of forced intercourse with a deadly weapon. The BLM deputy explored the area where he found the Toyota. There was evidence of a campsite, a fire pit with burnt garbage, a stack of newspapers, a bag of non-perishable food, and inside the car was personal papers and clothing. He opened the glove box to search for any identifying documents and found a missing poster for Kim Roache. This case is so full of crazy stories, none of which make sense and none of which leads us really any further down the road to finding Kim. I've left out a lot of details for the moment out of respect for Kim's existing family. I plan on reaching out to some of the police officers who took part in the investigation, and maybe even some of Kim's family members too. So hopefully I will be doing a second part for this episode and be able to clarify some things and update you all on the case. Who knows? This case might even warrant doing an actual documentary. There's so much backstory I didn't even touch upon. Kim was 43 years old when she went missing in 2000, which would make her 68 years old now in 2024. Kim Marie Roache is described as 5 foot tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, 110 pounds. If you have any information regarding the disappearance or current whereabouts of Kim Marie Roache, please contact the Josephine County Sheriff's Office on 541-474-5123, case number 00-06094. Kim Marie Roache's NamUs number is MP19590. Case number 3. Mystery in Maryland. The strange disappearance of Rene Salazar. Rene Salazar vanished without a trace on June 17, 2023. More than a year has passed now since this stunningly beautiful 32-year-old walked away from her home on the 3000 block of Camp Joy Road in Maryland, Oregon, another one of those wee towns in the southern part of the state. It was broad daylight, just before noon, that she began walking up Highland Avenue. The last sighting of Rene was at around 1 p.m. A passing motorist who was waiting at the traffic lights to turn into Maryland spotted Rene walking up Highland Avenue towards Donaldson Road. The driver stated that Rene looked in such a daze, blank, and almost emotionless. She said she could just tell something wasn't right. The witness was also struck by the fact that Rene was wearing a long-sleeved hoodie in 90-degree heat and that she was barefoot. She does not know if Rene turned up Donaldson or headed further up Highland. One of Rene's cousins said in a Facebook comment that she was isolated, withdrawn, and disconnected. This is all there is publicly available on this case. No further info has been released. Zero. Zip. Zilch. People don't just vaporize into thin air like a missing person's rapture. Somebody knows what happened to Rene Salazar. People don't just disappear. People disappear people. How can there be nothing more to say about her? How did nobody else notice her? It was a Saturday lunchtime. The place must have been wall-to-wall traffic. Where did she go? Down Donaldson or up Highland? Where the fuck was she heading? Did she even know? Why would you leave your house with nothing on your feet? Was she fleeing from someone? Who could it have been that you were so scared of in your own home you ran out with no shoes, no purse, no money? Was she impaired in some way? Why did she just vanish that day? Why wasn't it you? Why wasn't it me? Why Rene Salazar? I fear that Rene Salazar will just be another beautiful mystery, another enigmatic missing person case that we read about on web sleuths like Fauna Fry or Stephanie Warner or Lisa Cronin. Just like Stormy, just like Kim, I could go on and on and on. There's so many. We have a problem here, people. All of these women did not just decide to walk out of their lives one day. There are so many, hundreds just in Josephine and Jackson counties in southern Oregon. But don't get me wrong, it's not just women who vanish. There are probably as many men who have gone missing too. It's my hope that I might be able to do updates on these cases at some point. For Rene, it's been over a year. For Stormy, almost a decade. For Kim, nearly a quarter century. 3 generations of women, all vanished without a trace. 3 generations of women just gone. Rene Salazar is described as 32-year-old Hispanic female, brown eyes, brown hair, 5 foot 4 inches tall, and 160 pounds. She has a tattoo outline of a flower on a vine on her right forearm. If you see Rene, please do not approach her. Call 911 immediately. If you have any information on the whereabouts of Rene Salazar, please call Josephine County Sheriff's Office on 541-474-5123. Case number 23-15371.
Thanks for listening. Just Gone. Missing Persons Cases is a murder scene podcast. Please visit our website, themurderscene.com, or at the Murder Scene Podcast on YouTube for all our social media links. For a full list of credits, sources, and research info, please see the show notes below, or if you're watching a video, please see the credits at the end.